Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Jersey all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
So, I guess since we're talking WKU coaches, Jeff Brohm, it was one of those that succeeded and moved on. Louisville kind of got tricked this past week because we were calling for Jeff Brohm to go to Louisville, and Jeff said, you know what, I don't think so. Jake, you kind of got a hot take on that. You want to go ahead and cover that?
Yes, I don't know if it's a hot take. I mean, some people have said it. Some Louisville fans are mad. They're like, I don't want to ever hear Jeff Brom's name. He's not welcome in the city. And you guys know, secondarily, I went to school there. I'm a U of L fan. I wanted Jeff Brohm to go to U of L. I thought that would be cool. I thought Tyson Helton and Jeff Brohm matchup would be at least an interesting story, even though I don't want to play him. But he doesn't go. And I want to start by saying this, like Devin knows, I like Jeff Brohm. I think Jeff Brom's a good dude. I think he's an excellent coach. And I think after next year, or maybe after the year after that, he's going to go get absolutely paid at like a blue blood. I mean, I honestly think that. I'm not sure he'll go to the NFL, but he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen. But, so he turns down a Louisville job, which I don't blame him for doing, right? He's a grown-ass man. He can make his own decisions, and he has to do what's best for him. That's cool. But then, after the decision got made, and this is where I kind of get a little mad, is the media in Louisville and some Yahoo guys, Pat Forty, Pete Thamel, some of them, I can't remember, I think it might have been Pete Thamel, but they started to they interviewed Brohm, right? Because it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And they started to they began a narrative about Jeff Brohm. And the narrative that they painted and the narrative that Jeff Brohm painted on the Drew Diener show on ESPN Louisville, which, by the way, is a good show, and Drew Diener did an excellent job interviewing him, but they're bros. But the Louisville media began this, I don't want to say like crusade or whatever.
Like a holier than thou?
Yeah, so the main problem I had is I listened to the whole Drew Diener, Jeff Brohm interview. Jeff Brohm called into the show and they talked for several minutes. And it was very emotional. I mean, Jeff cried at one point. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that. So, like, he began to ask all the questions, like, to talk about the decision, what made you stay. And Jeff started to list off why he thought it wasn't the right time to come to Louisville. And he said that he wanted to, he had to be able to look himself in the mirror. He had to be able to sleep at night. And that he made a commitment to these players and this community and the administration at West Lafayette and the School of Purdue, and that he just wouldn't feel it would be right to break those commitments and go back home to Louisville. He said that, so I kind of want to go on 2 points. The one thing that I was really glad that Diener asked was, okay, how is staying at Purdue, how is like leaving Purdue different than leaving WKU? Because you did leave there after 3 years. And his answer was, we had achieved all that we thought we could at Western. Like, we got them in a good position, we won 2 championships, we had them on the right thing, and we thought it was time to move on, that we had achieved all we could for WKU.
Okay.
So this is the first thing I'm going to talk about. And then I'm going to talk about doing the right thing. So achieving all you could at WKU is patently, unequivocally, objectively false. 2 conference championships and 1 top 25 ranking does not a dynasty make. Now, I'm not saying that Jeff Brohm needed to stay at WKU for 10 years. And I don't begrudge him for leaving. But to come in and say that where you left Western was as good as you could have left them in your time there is a lie. There were many things left to do. You could have got top 25 rankings for another year or 2. You could have gotten more players into the NFL, thus helping recruiting after you left, which we know is an issue. You could have, I don't know, not poached players from the current roster to come to your new school. Jeff?
Yeah,
You said call them some of you guys? Yeah. You could have, even if we paid you more money, you could have gotten us to a New Year's, like a New Year's Six bowl as a proper, like, Power 5 victories in bowl games. There were so many things that he could have done with another 2 years that saying that he accomplished everything he thought he could at WKU is an absolute lie. Now, I think what he did and what he should have said and what would have given me more respect in that answer was, I, Jeff Brohm, achieved everything for my career that I could at WKU. Because taking WKU to make them a Boise State, to make them, giant killers, he's right. Not much more that he would have done at WKU would have built his resume. And that's fine, because that's the game, right? That's the sport. You go in at a little program for 2 to 4 years, you hop to a bigger one, you win 2 or 4 years, and you hop to another one. But to come in and say that you had done everything that you could at WKU, and then say that you haven't reached that at Purdue, it rings disingenuous to me. So that was the first thing that kind of ticked me off. But the one that really got me was how he's trying to, and not just him, the media in Louisville and the media sympathetic to him are trying to paint him as this guy that did the right thing, this moral high horse that, well, I didn't want to leave my players and the school and the administration. He said one of the statements he had was that, well, I didn't want to punish a program that never did anything to deserve it. They were nothing but good to me. And to which I would submit that he did everything negative to WKU that he said he didn't want to do to Purdue. He broke his promise to the players. I mean, I'm not saying he outright promised he wasn't going to leave, because he gave some pretty non-committal answers after that second Conference USA championship, but when he was out recruiting that year that they asked him, and he probably said, nah, I'm here, I'm going to coach you guys, that the university never did anything but was kind to him and gave him as much money as they physically had in the coffers to give him. The community worshipped him. He was God in Bowling Green. The school never did anything bad to him, but yet he left. And as I said, I don't mind that he left. I'm mad now that he's climbing a moral high horse about how, morally responsible he is in not going to Louisville, when, let's be real, it's about your resume, it's about the money, and it's about your career. And again, that's fine. I'm down with that. I understand and would do the same thing. But do not talk to us like we're stupid, like we don't remember what happened, like you left. And to argue anything otherwise is hypocritical in the highest regard, and it made me lose a little respect for Jeff. And maybe he believes all of that. Maybe he thinks that he couldn't have done anything better for Western, and that he didn't break any promises. He didn't violate anything when he left, that he left and whatever. But, I mean, he even said in the interview, God, well, when Purdue first talked to me, it was prior to the Conference USA Championship, and I didn't really want to take the job. I didn't even want to take their call, but you did. And then after, when they called me, I still didn't really want to take the job, but you did. And you did that not for a love of Purdue or a want of love for Western, but because it made financial sense for you to do it. It was a step up. That's what you do. And again, I was fine when it happened, even though he poached a bunch of players. But again, let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's not try to sell ourselves as this moral high horse, I'm doing the right thing all the time guy, when you just made a reasonable business decision. And I'll wrap it up with, they said it wasn't about the money. He said it wasn't about the money, and maybe it wasn't. There are conflicting reports. But Jeff Brohm got a substantial raise this year, and he even said, he was like, well, even though staying at Purdue, it might actually have been better for me. It might be better for me to go home. In what regard? Because, by all accounts, Louisville was going to pay you $7 million less over the course of the contract, and there's a lot more pressure on you. I'm not sure how you can argue objectively, other than it was for your emotional self-worth, that it would have been better to go to Louisville. The facilities are better, and the fan base is more rabid, but the money's worse, and the pressure's greater, and if you screw up there in a cratered program, your next leap, which, mark my words, Boilermaker fans, you've got him for 2 more years, tops. When Oklahoma opens, when USC opens, when an NFL job opens, he will take it. And it's fine. And when he does take it, and when he does leave the Purdue Boilermakers and says the same crap that he said about Western, that we left him in a good position and we did all we could do, I will still have this take. I will call Jeff Brohm a hypocrite. At least he makes hypocritical statements. and I'll continue to lose respect because don't blow smoke up our butts. Just be real. That's all I got on that. I had to get that out there because not a lot of people have been saying it. They all been they all been kissing his butt, and somebody had to call him out on the crap. A Western fan needed to call him out on his crap, even though it doesn't affect us.
Yeah, and Jake is a definite Brohm beater. He's definitely
Absolutely. I think he is a great freaking coach.
And so that's really something coming from you, Jared. This is why we don't call Jake Stephen A.
Oh, yeah.
Because I will go off.
So, no, I agree completely. I think the hypocrisy of Jeff Brohm's interviews and all that crap, really, it is crap, just makes the whole situation worse for me because it's like, yes, you said that it wasn't because of the money, you were doing it because the children in Africa needed you to or some BS. But it's like, dude, you're sitting there and you're like, the money's probably the same. I've got my dudes coming up through Purdue. I know it's not going to be as stressful for me. But if I go to Louisville, I'm going to have to get some dudes. I'm going to have to work for a couple more years at least. Next year is going to be probably really tough for any coach. And it's like, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, that's my opinion from what if I put myself in his shoes, I'm honestly thinking to myself, it's not worth it financially. They're not offering me enough money to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I said, right, you got to come swinging with $7 million to go get him, or 6.5.
Yeah,
like, you don't have to. And they came swinging with 5 and a 2019 red Honda Accord.
Really, they came in with a Honda Accord.
I think again, official stuff hasn't come out, but one of the reports was that that's the story that Jeff Brohm has a sentimental attachment to his 2004 Honda Accord that he shared with his brother and his dad, and he hasn't sold it. He hasn't bought a big fancy car. Now, I'd like to know what his wife drives. Just saying. But I'm pretty sure she's not in a 2004 Hyundai.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably like a Range Rover or something. But anyways, humble Jeff Brohm and his little Accord. So one of the things that was going to be like one of the kickers of the contract was they were going to give him a 2019 red Honda Accord, which is kind of funny.
That's really hilarious. Jared, what did you think about the entire situation?
I mean, I actually wasn't listening as much as I should have been just now. I was checking with
Are
you talking about what Jake just said about Jeff?
Was just so we could do a clip of it because I have the tape.
Yeah, Jared, go ahead. Yeah, we're talking about...
Okay, what he said about Jeff, I completely agree with. I mean, he definitely could have achieved more at Western. It's just I don't really think he wanted to financially. I mean, that's about as much money he's probably going to make at Western unless he was getting some high-quality bowl games and being nationally ranked year after year and all of that. I feel like it definitely would have helped us a lot as far as growing upwards and everything, because right after that is when we got Rick Stansbury, and if we could have gotten our football program and our basketball program good at the same time, that could have done so much good for the university, but here we are.
Yep.
Completely agree. It would have been nice, but, it's just one of those things that, of course, my phone just went off that Western and Missouri State just kicked off. But, woot, go Tops. But, it's the money. It's all it is. I was really aggravated back in 2012 when Taggart left. But it was one of those hard pills that you have to swallow that coaches are going to move on. So you kind of got to get over it. And
at least Jeff didn't stick his foot in his mouth like Willie did right before he left. I mean, that was pretty bad.
I am not going anywhere. Hey, Willie, where are you going? I just got to go to Florida real quick for something. I'll be right back. And I was like, what?
For like a year.
Yeah, really. I mean, literally, he called a team meeting, and then at 6 o'clock he was on a plane headed to South Florida. I was like,
yeah. I will say awesome. Jeff did not commit after he didn't make statements like that after the championship. Like he didn't. I don't hate how he left Western. I don't hate how he not took Purdue, or how he didn't take Louisville. But
I do.
I guess I go back and watch that clip.
This just kind of annoys me, and with college football in general. Why do coaches leave their teams before the bowl game? You know, I feel like you would want to do the bowl game and then go to said team because that's the team that you built up to get to the bowl game, but it always happens.
So honestly, I think it's because of the recruiting and the signing period.
It is.
So the early signing period, it's typically like you want that coach. If you've just fired your coach, you want that new coach to go and close out that class.
And I mean, that's what it is. I mean, and you're completely right. They have to go. They've got to get on the road. They got to go recruiting and yada yada yada. But why not move the recruiting period back, the signing day back, so that those coaches can stay with those teams, etc. It's just really frustrating. Yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating for a fan who would like to see. I mean, that would have been awesome for Willie to go from 0-26 to bowl game. I mean, it was magical.
It would have been.
But we got Lance Guidry and. It is what it is. History writes itself, I guess. But anyway,